And that shit ain't never come by you for real. Damn. Ain't no second chances. You can't come back in. We ain't cool, we can't be friends. Ain't no reminiscing.
Why do I always be the bigger person? I just want someone to show me that I'm truly worth it. Got a lot of things that always go unnoticed. I'm too busy being judged from people who ain't really worth it. Yeah, I get played, I'm so hurt. Cause I wanna know the truth. Are we really a thing? Is it really me and you? Why did I trust people that told me THD? The problem is you.
Never thought that I'd be sitting with the shawty trying to talk a lot and get on.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Icon. And once again, we on 95 South TV. First and foremost, I want to thank God for this opportunity because without us, it would be no him. I mean, without, yeah, I said it right. Without us, without him, there'll be no us. I said all backwards. Y'all forgive me. Y'all forgive me. Anyway, so I'll introduce my right hand man. You know what I'm saying? Your baby mama favorite host, Mr. Barry White Jr. voice himself, Jacob the Great. What's going on, brother?
So, brother, happy Sunday to all, man. Glad to be in the land of the living. Another day, another choice to get it right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So listen, y'all. Hey, it's been a couple of weeks. This young lady was on here a few weeks ago, and she's basically running for the Georgia senator. And hey, you know what? We need a sister. Hey, you know what I'm saying? You know how you got your matriarch, you got your big mamas and all that running the family. We need a sister up up in that government house, straightening out them old white boys. But anyway, Jacob, go ahead and introduce this young lady so we just quiz so we go get this interview started.
Oh, man, we have none other than the Honorable, the Great, Miss Sonya Wimberly Hawkins. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you guys for having me back.
Yes, yes,
No,
yes,
no
yes.
doubt.
The last time
So,
I was here, I was running. I was in the primary election, and since then, I was victorious. So I'm now on to the general.
on
Yes,
to the
yes, yes.
general. So let's go back to, you know, the day of, the voting, the primary. And so what was that like for you emotionally, mentally, spiritually? What was that day like for you?
Oh my God, that day, it was such an emotional moment for me because on that day, my daughter's she was graduating high school that Friday, but that particular Tuesday was her senior baccalaureate ceremony and also her memory walk at her elementary school. So that was very emotional because she was, she's my baby. She's the youngest. And then I was waiting on the results. So you add that to the fact that you're, going through all these senior activities. I was an emotional mess. I actually had to schedule a therapy session because my anxiety was so high. Um, I was anxious and I refused to look at the numbers to see, how I was in the polling. But my son was looking, he was checking, and he wouldn't say anything to me. And towards the end of the night, I guess it was because the polls closed at like 5 o'clock. So by 8 o'clock, my son says, "Hey, Ma, you're winning." And I don't think she's going to come back, from this number. And I said, "Well, don't tell me what it is. Don't tell me what it is. I just want to wait, until the end of the night." So after, we did all the senior activities, I went by the Fayette County Democratic headquarters where the woman who's running for Congress, Mara Keller, anybody out there, District 3, Georgia, U.S. Congress. I ran by Mara's watch party, and that's where I found out I won. So very emotional.
Okay, okay. So, was it emotional for your family as well?
It was, but they were more sure of me winning than I was.
Okay, okay.
I am never, I never ever take things for granted. And that's not to say I don't believe in what I can do. It's just that I don't take things for granted. Trump was elected twice. You could not have paid me money to believe that he would have been elected a second time after COVID. And that was a big lesson to me because I just really thought Kamala had it in the bag. So now with politics, you just never know. You never know where people's heads are. You would hope that they would choose right, but you never know. So
Yeah, I just think with the whole Kamala Harris and Trump thing, he had me campaigning for 4 years, and she had
mhm.
what 90 days. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So,
yeah.
so
And
it
then
was crazy.
it was, and they kind of just put her out there, without the as much as support as they would have given Biden had they let him stay in the race. That's a whole other situation. I have like tons of conspiracy theories about that. But I don't know. To be honest, Hillary campaign. She ran a good campaign. She was a strong candidate. And to see somebody like Donald Trump win over her with all the things he was saying and the intimidation tactics he was using, and the fact that there was, just a hint of Russian collusion. Like, had that been Hillary with doing all those things, you know, they'd be, she'd be arrested and put in jail. There's no way she would have been elected a second time, let alone the first time. Um, so yeah, I don't take anything for granted because you just never know what the American people, what they're thinking, you know. So where I am now, because I learned some things while I was campaigning and canvassing and talking to people. We lack voter education, right? And so we have a lot of misinformation out there. We have people who are just not engaged. And I'll tell you, this is me, full disclosure. Um, I literally get 50 text messages a day from the Democratic Party. I can put stop, end, and as annoyed as I am, I know I need to be kept in the loop on a lot of things. And so if I'm feeling like, oh my God, this is overwhelming, I know that the everyday Joe Blow who isn't as engaged in politics as I am, who may just vote, right? Um, they will just be turned off altogether, you know. Um, so because of that, people are not engaging. And I'm not saying that it's solely because of text messages or emails, but every time you turn on the news, there's something ridiculous going on, right? We've had the Voting Rights Act gutted. They've gotten rid of DEI and affirmative action. They have WWE or whatever it is, the Fight Club in front of the White House. Like every day is something ridiculous going on, right? So people are seeing that, they're seeing it on social media, and they're turned off by it. So a lot of people they just don't want to engage. And then there are those who are intimidated by the process, right? So when I looked at the numbers for the early voting before election day, that age group, that 18 to 29 age group, less than 5% of them voted. The stronghold was the 65 plus, right? How do we get those 18 to 29-year-olds engaged? How do we let them know that policy is personal? We can't be talking to them about Medicaid and Medicare because most of them don't care about that. They're young. They're like, I got medical insurance through my job. So how do we engage them to let them know that policy is personal? And it all begins with educating the voter to let them know what's going on in their communities. Um, and to not, I don't want to say scare them, because this is a do or die situation that we're in right now. We are in the fight of our lives. We need to win in November. We need a whole bunch of red seats flipped to blue. And if we don't, we are up the creek. There's no turning back. And we've been saying this for the last 8 years. Um, but people have not been, I don't want to say they haven't been paying attention, but we are really sounding the alarm now. Like, this is it. Trump is talking about he wants a third term. People are calling that $1.8 billion from the lawsuit. that he won against the government. They're calling that a slush fund. Some people are calling it reparations. It's incentive for January 6th to happen again in 2028 if he does not win, even though the Constitution says he's ineligible to run again. So this is really a do or die situation. And we just need to engage voters and get them to come out. We need to educate voters and get them to come out. And I think that's going to be the biggest struggle, not just for me, but for the Democratic Party. We have to go and meet people where they are.
Okay, okay. So let me say this,
Hmm.
and to speak for the American people
Hmm.
that is across the fence.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of people feel, because I talk to people all the time. It's
Hmm.
like we live in a government that haven't given us anything to believe in anymore,
Hmm.
and so they want somebody to explain to them, what are we believing in, and once they get our vote,
Hmm.
how can we hold them accountable, or will they hold themselves accountable for what they promised us that they will do?
So here's the thing, and this is what I want us as a collective. And when I say us, I'm talking about the regular everyday citizens, right? And I consider myself the regular everyday citizen. I'm not a politician. I'm just somebody who got mad and said, you know what, I'm going to run for office because I'm sick of corporations running the government, right? One of the things we can do is follow the money. A lot of these politicians have a lot of corporate PACs and corporations backing them. So if Georgia Power is giving you $10,000 or $50,000 for your, I don't know, county seat, city seat, whatever your role is, who are you going to be loyal to? Your constituents or Georgia Power? Do you see what I'm saying? So if people get drunk on power. So if they're feeding my campaign and I'm continuously running, I'm going to do what I can to make them happy so that they can continue to fund my campaign so that I can remain in my seat and continue to have this power. And I may do one or two things for my constituents, right? Um, because people get drunk on power. Um, so I think that one of the things that we need to do is take back our power because the power is with the people. And we need to be bold enough and engaged enough to demand accountability from the people that we elect to these roles, right? To these positions. And when they are not doing what they're supposed to do, we need to launch campaigns to get them removed from those seats. We need to start selecting the people we want to run. We need to show up to those county meetings, whatever your political affiliation is, be it Democrat or Republican or independent or whatever. Every county has an office for their political party, or if they don't have one for their office, if they have a small county and whatever, the neighboring county has an office for whatever your political affiliation is. Start going to those meetings. Start saying, hey, this is somebody I've had my eye on. I think they would be a great candidate. Start making your voice heard. Partner with people in your community. We have, like right now, this lady, she's a senior citizen, lives in my subdivision. I love her to death. She is our neighborhood watch person, and she assigns captains to all the cul-de-sacs, to make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? And she called me and she said, hey, we got a petition going around because I got wind that they're building a mall right outside of our subdivision. It was a little area that is rural. Now, I live in a suburban kind of area, and they're building up a whole bunch of stuff. We have a data center right across, walking distance from my house, maybe a mile from my house. And nobody wanted those things, right? All this extra construction. Nobody who moved in the area that I live in wanted all this. They liked their way of life. It was quiet, it was suburban, it was safe, all the things. And so she came to me and she said, hey, we got this petition because we want to stop them from building that mall right at the corner of the subdivision. And I said, yeah, I'll sign. She organized everybody in the subdivision. Like she went around and she's taking it to the city council meeting. So you have to, as the John Q. Public, you know, you have to make your voice heard. Don't be afraid of that. Start a petition, write a letter, contact your representatives. That's how you hold their feet to the fire. And that's how you get things done. We can't be intimidated anymore. We can't let things
Okay.
just happen to us.
Great, great, great. So when it comes to your district, and
Hmm.
because I have a lot of friends that's in the education system, family members,
Hmm.
and stuff like that. And so when it comes to the education system, you know, a lot of things have been cut out, and you know, teachers are leaving
Hmm.
the education system because they don't feel like, you know, they are not
Hmm.
being paid enough for
Hmm.
educators. So,
Hmm.
so what is your stance on to get educators of the school system more money?
Well, I believe that teachers should be paid far more than what they make, right? I'm the child of an educator, and my son, he's a data scientist, engineer by trade, but he's also a teacher. He's teaching math at one of the high schools in a neighboring county. Um, One of the reasons we don't have a lot of teacher retention is because of the pay, right? And a lot of schools are lacking resources. So now, the county that I live in, which is in my district, we do very well. We are ranked number two in the state in terms of academics and performance, right? But we do have blind spots, and a lot of those blind spots are racial blind spots. You know, some kids need IEPs, and it's a struggle to get a child an IEP in this particular district. However, the rest of the district, that Spalding, Pike, and Lamar County situation, is not like Fayette County. They don't have the resources that Fayette County has because of the money that's in Fayette County, the residents. So I want to make it more equitable across the board for all students within the district, because actually within the state, but especially within my district, because I believe all children deserve a fair chance. It shouldn't be a situation where your school is struggling and you have a larger class size and you're in the same district as a teacher that has 18 students, who gets paid more, who has more resources and activities. So I think we need to come up with creative ways to engage new teachers, young teachers, diverse teachers who are culturally competent. That's another issue. We need diverse teachers in terms of age, in terms of race, in terms of gender, language. You know, kids need to see people who look like them, who speak their language, right? People they can relate to. So, um, I believe that we do need to come up with um, ways to engage teachers, and I think it begins with more pay.
Okay, okay, and so you know when you win,
Hmm.
because I'm pretty sure you will. So
Appreciate that.
what is your what is your stance on connecting with the lobbyists for, you know, education, agriculture, home development.
Hmm.
What is your stance on connecting with those lobbyists and really understanding how the narrative can be changed to, you know, all that would tie into having a better economic growth system, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
better development for living for people because things are not going down; they're constantly going up. So, you
Oh,
know, what is your stance? What is your stance on that as well? You know,
well,
when connect when
one, I think economic growth and development needs to um, happen with the community and not to the community, right? That's the first thing. I think right now where we are, we are favoring more corporations than we are the local citizens. And the reason I say that is because I'm going to go back to the data centers, right? So, where I live, I don't know. Have you guys heard about the data center in Georgia that I don't want to use the word stole, but they got 30 million gallons of water
Yes,
and
I heard about it.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
on
you
the
okay.
kind of
news.
spoke on a little bit last time. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like right down the street from my house. And the people in my community, they couldn't turn their water on. The water pressure was really low and all the things, right? So instead of the water company fining them, they said it was a faulty pipe or something. They said, oh, we're just going to allow them to pay the bill, which is fine. They're making accommodations for big business, even though they inconvenience the people who pay taxes, who have been living here for over 20 years, right? And that's what happens when we favor the corporation over the citizens in that community. A lot of people were blindsided with the data center. A lot of people didn't know that it was coming. I had to find out. I went to my Fayette County Democrats meeting to find out that that's what they were building. They had already broken ground and everything because, and this is my fault, I didn't go to the zoning meeting. So that's again why it's important who you choose for these roles because again, policy is personal. So we need to be in those zoning meetings. We need to be in those city council meetings. We need to be in those PSC meetings. Because with the PSC, that's who determines how much your electric bill is going to be. So I don't have a problem with economic growth as long as it's growth with the community and not happening to the community. So I don't mind engaging lobbyists and talking to them, but my number one priority is to the constituents, is to the people. We hold the power. We get to determine what's best for us because we live in the community. And that's where I
Okay,
stand on that. Yeah.
I can dig it. I can dig it. I turn it over to you, man.
First, before we move on, everybody subscribe to 910 SNE on our YouTube channel. But this is what I was gonna say. I actually knew, and I think me and Jacob probably talked about this over the years, last couple of years. I
Mhm.
knew Trump was gonna get back in the White House. I told him. I travel all over the country. I said
Mhm.
as soon as he lost the last time, I
Mhm.
seen trailers with Trump on it. I seen bumper stickers. I
Wow.
seen billboards. So they was already campaigning doing that whole before they even got to
Mhm.
the time when you start running again. So I
Mhm.
knew he was going to win. And then the other problem was this of I can't remember how many Republican candidates there was, but it might have been like 5 or 6, where the Democrats had like 20. And I'm
Mhm.
like, well, that's just like if you can't focus on one thing, you're too distracted. And
Mhm.
then if I think this time going in, we need maybe 4 or 5 strong candidates that can
Mhm.
run for presidency, and then we choose who's going to run at the end, and do it that way instead of having 20 people that we confused about, and everybody got 20 different views. So I
Yep.
think that's what threw us off. But let me ask this question because I live in Georgia myself.
Mhm.
Just recently moved to Austell, and I seen this thing on Instagram, I think TikTok or something, where this
Mhm.
guy was talking about how um, people are actually moving into hotels
Mm.
and doing extended stays because
Mhm.
they can't afford the rent because either apartments either got higher than
Mhm.
housing, or maybe some of
Mhm.
us come from bad credit, but some of it's just saving money. It's different variations of different reasons.
Mhm.
And then I thought about this thing too, and I don't know how much being a senator plays a role in all this, but I feel like in the economy that we're in now, that
Mhm.
is it a way to waive the when you move into a house and they say
Mhm.
we want first months and last month. Right
Mhm.
now, people barely got the first. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they need them. If there's some way to waive it for a year or two until we get the economy back right, because
Mhm.
like I said, the people that are really struggling don't have. Let's just say it costs your rent gonna be $2,000 a month, or 20
Mhm.
a month, but you got to come up with 4,000. Then
Yeah.
you got to still got to come up with an extra 1,000 or 2 to,
Mhm.
to, to change utilities and rent the truck to move to somewhere. And is it a way to kind of like maybe adjust things where,
Mhm.
and then because yeah, let's really think about this realistic. Let's keep it 100. If I live in an apartment, a house, let's say a house for 2 years, 2 or 3 years,
Mhm.
in most cases, am I really gonna get my deposit back at the end? And if I do get my deposit, you done
Mhm.
already spent that money either way. So it's not like you're giving me back something that you just held on to in a bank. But
Mhm.
yeah. But anyway, just kind of elaborate on that a little bit.
So there are a couple of things. I believe most things can be fixed with legislation, and I agree with you. Especially in these economic times, we do need to have a safety net program for people who are moving out. Young people out of college with real professional jobs aren't able to leave home because they can't afford it. Everything costs too much, and part of that is we are letting corporations like run every freaking thing. They're buying up residential homes and reselling them. They shouldn't be able to do that, or they're
Hmm.
renting them. The same thing with these apartment buildings and complexes. That just everything has been turned into these corporations. And it locks the little man out. It was all by design. If you look back at Reaganomics all those years ago, his plan, that trickle down economics that people bought into, these are the remnants of that, right? It's
Hmm.
all about big business, screw the little people, get rid of the middle class. We want you extremely poor and reliant upon us, which is why we have to fight this. Like I said, I believe that legislation can fix some of this, mainly allowing these corporations to come into residential areas and buy up all the property and then rent it out or sell it to somebody, because the rich are just getting richer, and the rest of us are left hanging on. And you heard Trump saying he wanted, was it a
Hmm.
50-year mortgage or something ridiculous like that? Who's going to
Yeah.
You gonna be paying a mortgage for 50 years? Are you crazy? You know.
Uh,
So yeah, I believe that's something that can be legislated, and I would definitely fight for that. I would definitely draft some legislation for that because
now, go ahead.
no, I was just saying because I believe we should all be able to live comfortably. It's enough for everybody. I'm full disclosure. I don't want to say I'm anti-establishment, but I don't believe that we should have as many billionaires as we do and people
Hmm.
sleeping on the street. Why do we? Jeff Bezos is on his way to being a trillionaire, and we have people that
Hmm.
are sleeping on the streets. We have people that are skipping meals. We have senior citizens who worked all their lives that are having to make the decision of, do I buy my insulin or do I buy a meal?
Hmm.
In the land of milk and honey, and that should not be. So yeah, I believe we need to draft, and not just at the state level, but at the federal level,
Hmm.
because it's
Hmm.
coming down from the feds to us. Like I said, we have a lot of big business in politics, and that needs to change because politics should be about the people. We make the decision. It's more of us than it is them.
Well, there's two things that I've thought about. One, I feel like businesses, especially in the poor neighborhoods where the
Mhm.
kids that play, like let's say, play sports,
Mhm.
football, basketball, these kids shouldn't have to be on the side of a road at a stoplight selling water and candy
Mhm.
to actually build up money to pay for their uniforms. And
Mhm.
case in point, I come from a small town in North Carolina. It's called Southern Pines, North Carolina.
Mhm.
And at the baseball field, you would see on the wall, you would see 30 or 40 companies across that all sponsored the teams and stuff out there. So the
Mhm.
players didn't really have to come out, but out of their pocket because the doctor's offices and the lawyer firms and the banks and
Mhm.
all the people would put the money in. So what I've always thought is the businesses in those cities that
Mhm.
whether it's the local gas station, the mom and pop restaurants, whatever it is, should
Mhm.
have to give back a certain amount of money each month to the
Mhm.
community when it comes to helping out in the community because we're patronizing you. We're working. We're buying stuff out of your buying you servicing your place every day. You're servicing us, but we're buying stuff, paying money in your
Mhm.
restaurants, in your gas stations,
Mhm.
and half the time they treat us like doo doo. When you know what I'm
Yes.
saying, when we do come up in there, but then so y'all should have to pay. And I feel like mega churches, I never understood this because you know how bad in Atlanta.
Mhm.
Atlanta, most of the mega churches are in poor neighborhoods, which I
Mhm.
never understood that part. And
Mhm.
then you have homeless people, drug addicts. You have all these people walking them down the street. I think these churches have to do. She'd have to be mandated to do more to
Mhm.
help if they're going to be in the communities and they're
Mhm.
sitting on millions and millions of dollars talking about I need an extra 40 million for a private jet. Well,
Mhm.
if that's the case, if you got that kind of money where you need a private jet to move around, then you need to be doggone putting this money. I told a friend of mine, Mom, I don't want to get too much on the soap, but I told somebody this. I said the thing about it is, I said if Jesus walked around with $1 billion in his pocket, by the time he got from one end of the city to the other end of the city, he would be broke, passing out money.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
But go ahead, you go ahead and jump
So
in on
I
what
was
I
just
just
going to
said.
say, I agree with you. And I think that this, taking it back to Reagan with the trickle down economics, this is how we got here, right? A lot of cities um, had corporate head tax before uh, Reagan got into office, right? So corporations had to um, pay into, if they had a certain number of employees, right? They had to pay into the community. So they were charged a head tax. When Reagan got in, he changed all of that. And he's like, no. We're not going to charge them that extra tax. We're going to tax the little guy more money, and the money that we save is going to trickle down into the community. Now, if that ain't a con game, anybody with good sense knows that what he's saying doesn't make sense. But the American people bought into that. So now here we are with the dwindling middle class, right? So right now, and I'm going to use my hometown of Chicago as an example, they have a mayor there. He's a progressive mayor, and he wants to tax corporations that have over 100 employees. And I don't know what the number is, but we're going to say $50 per employee. That's going to be your tax so that we can recoup funding for different programs within the city. I thought that was an amazing idea. And I said other cities should take heed and do the same thing. You know what the citizens are saying? No, they should not tax these corporations because my job is going to go away and I'm not going to have any money. I'll assume the tax. What sense does that make? Do you see what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Yeah.
So I don't disagree with you. I agree that we should be taxing these corporations and these businesses so that they can pour back into the community. Those funds need to come back into the community. And
Hmm.
so if we stand together and demand that and not be afraid, because those people who are yelling, no, my job is going to go away. If you tax them, they're going to fire people. They're going to do a massive layoff. They're not. They need money. They need bodies to do the work.
Hmm.
So they're not going to lay off the bodies that are doing the work because they have to pay the tax. They were paying it previously. So you're just going to have
Hmm.
to pay it again. Everybody can't be on the path to being a billionaire.
Hmm.
We have to be better than that. And because again, it's more of us than it is them, we need to be bold enough to take a stand and demand that these are the
Hmm.
changes that we want. Especially, these city programs where kids are getting into mischief. I was saying just the other day, they were talking about these teen takeovers that are happening around across the country now, but they were talking about it up in Chicago, and I was saying, well, these kids need something to do. You take away the programs, parents don't have money to pay for, those park district programs where you're going to organize sports teams and all the things. So what are they going to do? Get into stuff
Hmm.
because they don't have anything
Because
to occupy their time.
you know what I want to say real quick, and it just came to me. You know what I'm saying? Look at God. This is what it just came to me.
Hmm.
I think that if you got your Walmarts, you got your Amazons, you got your FedExes, you got these big companies that
Hmm.
we know it. We know in Georgia they build them up. They almost every other month you see a new Amazon building somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I believe that they should be able to have to pick like a certain amount. Let's say they pick 5 underprivileged schools, not these schools that got money, but
Mm-hmm.
the like 5 are good. 5 each of them have to pick. They have to pick a certain amount of schools in their area, in the district area, in the county, whatever you want to call it, and have to give a certain amount of money.
Yep.
And they spread it out evenly. Like let's just say they have to give out $10,000 or something or whatever, and then they have to give each school. I'm just starting low at the low end, but
Mm-hmm.
that'd be something that you and your team could figure out. Like the state could figure out how much money they should have to give out because Jeff Bezos is making billions of dollars. So
Billion.
you can't give a certain amount of money to that district area each month for those kids to be able to have uniforms and to be able to have transportation to get to and fro
Mm-hmm.
when they traveling and things of that nature. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? To alleviate some of these single moms and single dads for having to have to come out of their pocket to make sure their kids can play sports. If you want to lower the crime, then back up the kids so they won't be in the streets. If you
So
really want to lower the crime.
that is the absolute truth. And statistics show that when you have safety net programs like that, crime is lower. That statistics show that. So when people know where their next meal is coming from, they have a job, when people have medical insurance, when their kids have extracurricular activities to go to, everybody is good. But when you take those things away, that's when crime spikes because you're putting them at a mind state of deprivation. So they're trying to survive. They're in survival mode. So yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I believe that those corporations in lower income communities, they need to be donating money to those schools. Those schools should have computers. They should not have any laptop issues. They should not have any book issues. They shouldn't have any sports teams issues. Funding should be there when you have $1 billion corporation setting up shop in your community. The job should
Yeah.
be there also.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know. Who was this? The Pittman. Shout out to Chandra too. She said it was crazy work, but the Pittman said it's 20 to $25 for the
Mhm.
corporate head tax. What a corporation pay for lunch per person at their company.
Wow.
So
Wow. Yeah. And Tina, I agree with you. I think that was such a smart idea. Daley had it when he was in office. I think his corporate head tax was a little more than the $25. And I think it was per 50 employees. I don't know. You might have to pull that up. I don't live in Chicago anymore, so I don't keep up as much as I used to. But yeah, and I think that is ideal, because corporations should not be able to set up shop, make billions of dollars in a city, in a community, and not be made to give something back. You just can't take. And like I said, big business, I don't mind that if you're growing with the community. You're giving something back to the community. You just
hmm
can't be here to take.
hmm Go ahead, Jacob.
Well, here's where I want to go. And I'm gonna say shout out you, Icon, because you a veteran. But I definitely have a lot in my family, a lot of friends that serve. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to understand, and I've talked to Icon about this. I'm trying to really gather my thought process to understand how is there's 74,000 homeless veterans in America,
Mm-hmm.
and these people put their life on the line. And when you look at other countries, they don't have homeless people. They 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 set money aside for the people at war that has gotten hurt, and so
Mm-hmm.
70, that's close to 100,000 veterans that gave their life, for
Mm-hmm.
society in America that's homeless on the streets, not getting the proper care or
Mm-hmm.
are not getting the proper counseling or therapy for their PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how can we change the narrative to really support and take care of our veterans better?
And
Well,
before you speak, Sonya, let me elaborate on what Jacob is saying. So for people to be like, well, a lot of time with the veterans being homeless, or people, well, sometimes they're homeless because they want to be. One of the biggest problems that I've seen
Mhm.
is that they tie you up in so much red tape when it
Mhm.
comes to trying to get your money or whatever, that a lot of veterans don't even want to go through the process, because sometimes you may wait years and years. I'll give you a quick story before you answer. I had a friend, his name was Ray. He passed away a few years back, but he was in the Vietnam War. He
Mhm.
contracted the Asian orange. I don't know if you heard about Asian orange from back then. He contracted that, got real sick for years. He basically was fighting for assistance and money for years. I think maybe like 10, 12 years, 15 years he was fighting. They finally get some money out of them. They only gave this man like $15,000.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? After all that time he was fighting for it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I just wanted to elaborate on that just to kind of give
Mhm.
context. But go ahead.
Okay, so full disclosure, I come from a military family. My grandfather's retired Marine who was also exposed to Agent Orange. He was in World War II and Vietnam right before he retired. My stepdad is a Vietnam era Marine. He left Vietnam. He went to Vietnam at 17 years old, and it destroyed him mentally. He had been fighting for his benefits, I think, since 1980, and he did not get them until 1996. And they cut him a one lump sum check. I was a military wife. My husband is ex Army. He served in Desert Storm. He got out the military in January of 1999. We were fighting for his disability because he's a 100% disabled vet, suffered from PTSD, knees bad because he jumped out of airplanes. He served in 2 elite units. He wasn't just Desert Storm, he was also Operation Just Cause. Um, it took them many years to give him 100%. And he was wrapped up into so much red tape. We didn't get it until 2021. Um, and we had to hire an attorney so that he could get it.
Mm-mm.
That is something that is frustrating to me because, and this is with anything in life. I've lived a little bit without saying my age. I've lived a little bit. Um, People, when you start tying them up in red tape and forms and come back on this day, people get frustrated, they get intimidated, and they just snap, especially if they're at their wits' end. Imagine going to war, putting your life on the line, dealing with PTSD and anxiety, and you can't sleep. You can barely hold down a job because of your mental health issues or even your physical disabilities. And then they're telling you, oh, we'll come back next week. Oh, well, you have to fill out these forms where they're going to deny you for this. We're only going to give you 15% disability. I take issue with that. So,
Mhm.
one of the things I want to do is partner with veterans groups and fight for these veterans that are not just homeless, but the ones who have families and are still fighting for their disability. We shouldn't have to hire a lawyer to get something that's rightfully yours. And that's something
Mhm.
that's near and dear to me because, again, I come from a military family. My daddy was in the Navy,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
My granddaddy was World War II, Vietnam. My
Yeah.
dad was in the Army. I was in the Air Force. My brother was in the Navy.
Yeah.
So I come from a generation, of guys who all of us was served at some point in time.
Mhm.
But like I said, because like you said, guys come home with PTSD and all kind of
Mhm.
ailments and stuff like that. Luckily, I served in what they call the chair force. We don't do that.
Listen, my
But
brother-in-law is retired Air Force, so yeah.
they said we the lazy way. Hey, nobody
Yeah,
tell y'all to pick the other ones. You know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying? But
I always
anyway,
say the Air Force, they're the brainiacs. So,
yeah. But
but yeah.
yeah, but you know what? I appreciate you coming on, getting us our time again. And like I said, we here for you. I really am. I I don't get too excited about politics too much. I ain't gonna lie to you. But you make me like want to jump in there with you because
Come on.
I know you sincere
Yes.
about what you're trying to do. You don't even come off as a typical politician the way you talk. So I even know it comes from a sincere place or whatever what you're attempting to do. And so, we'll talk offline a little bit more about how we can help out,
Okay.
because we got resources where we can help out, especially when it comes to the from promo and marketing side of things that you
Okay.
have
And you
to do.
guys sent me something too. I just haven't had an opportunity to go through it. But
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
I did, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I
yes,
did send you a proposal. Sure did.
Yeah,
yes,
because
sir.
we got TV stuff that we do and all that, so we might can be able to, promote and market whatever your commercials and stuff that y'all do on
Okay.
our TV platforms and things of that nature.
Well, I would
So,
absolutely appreciate it. And I thank you guys for your
yeah.
support. This, like I said, is stretching me beyond my comfort zone. But as a regular everyday citizen, I felt I needed to hop in this fight and try to do my part to save democracy. So,
Hmm. Okay, okay, yeah, definitely. That, like I said, that's why I'm saying it on live, so you know what we serious about,
yeah.
whatever we can do to help out, or whatever, because we definitely we definitely got to do something,
Yes,
and
sir.
I know people say, well, what are you gonna do? We always want to complain as black folks, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying, but we never want to jump in, and like I
And
said, it's the first time I really want to jump in the fight when I'm looking at somebody I feel like is sincere,
yeah. We
about
need
changing
you.
things.
We
Yeah.
we really need you and people like you in this fight because like I feel like we are fighting a battle that most people aren't paying attention to. And if they are they've tuned out because it's become
Mhm.
overwhelming. And so for those of us who are still in the game, who has our head in the game, we need you. So come on.
Yes, 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 ma'am. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am. Well, like I said,
yeah,
what was you gonna say, Jacob?
yeah, yeah, we definitely here. We definitely here. On the front line with you. We definitely here.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you coming on tonight, giving us your time again. I enjoyed it.
Yes, sir.
And looking forward to doing this again as
For
we get
sure.
further to November. And just like I said, whatever you need, God bless you, and you
Thank
keep on
you.
fighting.
All right. All right,
All right,
y'all. Talk to you
all right.
soon. Bye
All
bye.
Okay.
right, bless you.
Bye.
Bless you.
Brown skin girl, and she knew I was out to go and clear my mind. The girl